Hey everybody, it's Briggsell here, and I am playing Battlefield 4. Now this is the single player, and I basically want to talk to you about this. I'm not going to talk. This is going to be reflective of the single player, not the multiplayer. The multiplayer I'll explain a bit later, once I've played more. I did a video a few days ago about how I'm not sure if I wanted to actually play Battlefield 4, and it took me about 36 hours before I realised that I might as well. What's the harm in doing it? So, I played the multiplayer first, and then I went back to the single player because I thought I'd probably get through it quicker. And it's definitely true. I did get through it a lot quicker than I would have normally done if I'd just gone straight into the single player. Anyway, let me explain what this single player is all about. Well, it's just a bunch of campaign missions that kind of show you all the maps in their entirety, not just multiplayer wise you only see bits of the map, whereas this you actually see the whole of the maps and why and how they fit into the game. What bothers me though from the game so far, because I mean this is the second to last, this is the penultimate mission, the mission before the end of the game, so I've played pretty much the whole of the game. And I'm not going to go on about the ending because I don't particularly want to talk about the ending, because I have played the ending, of course. I wouldn't have done this video otherwise. But the game itself is decent looking. It looks pretty good. This is on very poor quality in terms of graphical quality, because my computer's just shit. It doesn't particularly like running it. Plus, I like to have good frame rate over graphics. That's just the way how I work. The suppression system, as you can see, is actually quite good. My view is pretty bad when they're shooting at me. But you'll notice in a minute that, there must have been like 10 people shooting at me then, and none of them could hit me. Yet as soon as I walk straight into here, like one person will kill me very quickly. And that's not kind of consistent with the game itself. In fact, I've only died probably a handful of times, and that's my mistake more than anything. But let me tell you a little bit about why I don't particularly like this game, or this single player, that is. Now, it feels to me as if the people at DICE, and I don't know if it was in-house or out-house company who made the single player as did the multiplayer. I'm not sure if they did that or not, but the single player feels a bit rubbish. And I'll explain why it's a bit rubbish in a second. The first thing I've noticed is that your character, Wrecker, as it is, very original, is basically thrust into a squad leading position. He is the squad leader after play the first mission. Apologies for spoilers and such. Which means that it's your task really to go through the game and lead these people through the missions. The problem is that in every cutscene, and I mean every cutscene, where the other people like talk to you and where the progression of the story occurs, you'll notice that everyone just literally talks over you and makes the decisions for you, like completely. They suggest doing certain things, and I think, well, why not I do this? Why not I do that? Make my own decision on these things. But the linear aspect to this single player pushes you through really short, small areas that look massive, but they're actually very small, which to me is disappointing, especially the scope as a Battlefield game, as you may notice. I mean, it is a big game. There's no doubt about it. It's a massive game. The size of the game alone, 24 gigabytes or 28, I think it is. That just shows you how, big this game is. Yet the single player must cover maybe like 3 or 4 of those gigabytes, because it's, in all honesty, it's just so linear. It's disappointingly linear. Now, I know the focus on this game is the multiplayer. It always has been, and it probably always will be. And that's good for people who want to have that multiplayer experience. I personally could give or take, you know, the multiplayer. I wasn't that particularly bothered about it. You saw the video that I posted a few days ago regarding the fact that I wasn't too sure if I was even going to play Battlefield 4. Even though I'd bought it already, you know, I was still undecided, very much undecided. So, other things that are annoying to me, the game feels broken. I mean, you'll see aspects of this game in a little bit when I've got further, and you'll notice that there are certain aspects of the game that just seem broken. Like, for instance, on this map or mission, the first time I did it, after completely failing at trying to shoot that guy, after the first time I tried to do this mission, I actually broke the game. I actually physically broke the game. I went to a part of the map where I shouldn't have gone. Simple as that. I shouldn't have gone there, and when I died, I tried to reload the game up and the game would crash. Just straight away. There was no way around it, it would just crash. So I obviously had to redo the mission the whole entire time, and as I am not particularly enjoying this game in any way, shape or form in terms of the single player, it was tedious to say the least. In fact, I just went away from the game for like, I don't know, played about 3 hours and came back to it because I thought, I'm absolutely sick of this. Once I got past that specific part, I moved on to another area and in this dam region and did various different things, and you'll see I'm not even going to try and explain why these things happen, but they just, the game just feels so broken in certain areas. I mean, it really does. I'm really quite disappointed about it. Quite disappointed about it. I mean, in some areas, the physics and the game itself are well made. There's no doubt about it. But there are certain aspects, and that's why I think it's probably been given out to some other company to do the single player. They've not really kind of learned how to use the engine properly, and it's kind of just not worked properly. Either that, or the people who at DICE who actually made the single player were pretty not bothered about it. They were like, fuck it, I'm not going to bother even attempting to try and make something coherent. I mean, the story itself is actually quite intriguing if you actually get the story. To begin with, it's kind of like, you know, it's very film-esque in terms of, you know, you start in the water and then it says 13 minutes before and it kind of leads up to it. It's very kind of film-esque in a way that they do that, and it disappoints me because every single time you try to do it, play a game like this, it ends up doing something. So it kind of, you know, it's not a very original thing. And you also notice here that those people wait for me to walk through, except that I'm already there, and it's so half-assed. It's not even funny how half-assed this is. The characters themselves and the voices and such are actually quite good. The guy on the right there, I can't remember his name, but he was in The Wire and a couple of other things. Quite decent actor he is. I'm not too sure about the lady. What annoys me most about these types of first-person shooters is the fact that your character, Wrecker, in this instant, is actually not got a voice. He's not got any kind of input whatsoever in the storyline. You are just the player, and it annoys the hell out of me. Really, it really does annoy me because I like to be able to interact. They say that I'm the leader of this squad, right? The only thing that I'm the leader of is opening doors. I honestly just feel so frustrated the way this game's turned out in terms of its single player quality. I don't know why they did it. Why couldn't they just put all the effort into the multiplayer? Forget the single player. Don't even fucking bother with the single player. Just put all the focus on the multiplayer and forget the single player whatsoever. Don't put nothing in there, because if you half-ass a single player, people like me will come along and just say how shit the single player is, and it makes you look bad, and it makes the people who kind of want this game so much and then play this shitty single player get really disappointed by it, like really disappointed. I mean, before the start of this mission, all you're given is a block of C4, like literally a block of C4, like a rectangle of C4, and yet for some reason now they've got shaped charges that can blow up a dam. I mean, where the fuck did that shit come from? And then in this bit here, where what's his face, Irish or whatever the fuck he's called, goes in and plants the plants the bomb. He's like, takes about 1 second. I don't think it even gets to the site. It automatically does it. I mean, this is it right now. After this little fight, I suppose. So I'm rather annoyed, really. I'm really quite annoyed. So there, look. Oh, it's done. Wow. Okay. I mean, even this is obviously an after-recorded version. I even double take it because I'm thinking he planted it that quickly. That's amazing. And then the feast that is this fantastic game. I will show you how pathetic the game works for me, and that is that there's one of those leaps of faith here that you inevitably find in a FPS game, and yes, it's a ladder, so I have to run and grab the ladder. No. And this is not the first time that I'll fail at this. In fact, I'll fail at this another time, and then I'll realise what I have to do. And I'll explain, after I've done it, I'll explain why. But this is not the first time I've had trouble with ladders. In fact, this is the third or fourth ladder I've come across which just is really temperamental. Even in this multiplayer, the ladders are a little bit temperamental, whereas in the single player, they are extremely temperamental, especially right almost at the beginning of the game, where you're about to go into the Chinese tower, and for some reason, the ladder doesn't actually work at all. Fail. I seem to like grab it and then just bounce off. And then I realised that what's happening is no matter what button I press, it's like I've cancelled the grab of the ladder. So once I grab the actual ladder, in this go, I think it's this go, I might actually fail again at this one, but I can't actually remember. But when I jump to this ladder, what I actually do is I actually just take my hands off the mouse and keyboard completely after the jump. And you'll notice, because it takes me about a second to regain my position on the keyboard. I'm just being annoyed here, and I'm just fucking... Right, hands off the keyboard and mouse, and then start again. And then, I mean, this is indicative of the whole game, in all honesty. I mean, if this could just have been either completely forgotten about, or just a little bit of information, a little bit more effort went into creating it, you'd have half a decent... I mean, this guy takes about 15 bullets to kill. I don't know how the fuck that's happened. And then I realise, oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, actually, I'm supposed to now blow the explosives up. No, let's not do this. Let's do this. And then I realise, actually, if I don't do this, I'm going to fucking die, because there's no other way out. So, explosion. And of course, being it that is a first-person shooter, of course, and there has to be a bunch of action and stuff, and there was a kind of flying man there that kind of disappeared. Of course, there has to be a little bit of suspense, a little bit of drama. I said that really fucking weirdly, I apologise. But of course, I then have to plummet into the dam, of course, as well. And as it is with pretty much all the Battlefield single player experiences that you may or may not have had over the last like 5 years. None of this actually kills you. It just actually, you go a bit blurry and it gets a bit dark, and you open your eyes and you see a little bit, and you don't see a little bit, and you don't get hurt whatsoever, and then you wake up in a random place somewhere that you've never been before, and the story kind of moves forward. And then after this pathetic little kind of oh, I'm okay now, I can see things, and oh look, Wrecker spelt without a W, oh dear. The guns that I had were an USAS and a Pukachenga, or whatever the fuck it's called, and I've got a completely different gun. And I've got a different secondary gun as well. I mean, did I just find them on the floor? Or did they appear out of my arse, which is what it's like. And then, to top it all off, there is this horrible, horrible scene here where I get to the chopper first. I stand here thinking, okay, what's happening here? I have to wait for these two to walk up behind me, and then I have to wait a little bit more, and 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 then a little bit more, and then suddenly my gun goes down, and the hood goes away, and then I can go on with the next kind of cutscene. And then the most annoying character in the whole game comes out, even though she's only in it for like 3 cutscenes. Let's just listen to what this person says.
Damn, I'd kill you myself if I actually thought it was possible. Good job, Wrecker. Russian anti-air is down. We got the sky bridge open again. Major, what about I ride? I'm gonna hook you up. You said you needed transport west. You got about 2 minutes to get ready. TikTok fuckheads, get going.
So there you have it, the most annoying character in the game. I'm not going to just say this because people may think this. It's not because she's a woman. It's completely not because she's a woman. If it was a guy, I'd probably hate him even more. If I'm honest, the really bad thing about this character is that she's completely does not fit the game whatsoever. I mean, 1 minute she's like really angry and really sweary and cursy, and the next minute she complains about other people swearing at her, and then she's making shit up, and she's talking about random shit, and she's saying this and she's saying that, and she's saying about killing. I mean, it's just one of the most illest thought out characters I can even think of. And to top it off, we've got this final little scene where for some reason it waits 3 seconds after the other two to pick me up. Don't know why. That's just the way it is. Anyway, as you can probably tell, I didn't enjoy this game at all, and I hope you don't have to play it. The multiplayer, on the other hand, I'll talk to you about later. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.